Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm reviewing Elton John's 1993 album Duets. Now in the first video I looked at the first 8 tracks. Today I'm going to be looking at tracks 9 to 16 and giving my overall thoughts and rankings for the whole album. Now track number 9 sees Elton teaming up with Gladys Knight and Stevie Wonder, and of course he worked with both of them on the 1980s song That's What Friends Are For, a charity record. This one is called Go On and On. What do we know about Gladys Knight? She's sometimes called the Empress of Soul, famous for songs like Midnight Train to Georgia. Now Stevie Wonder has written this song, he produced it, he's on the backing vocals, and he plays all the instruments as well. So it's a big Stevie Wonder production, this one. The sound of it reminds me a little bit of his work on In Square Circle and even Hotter Than July. It's a very distinctive Stevie Wonder sound. It's about a breakup and it's conversational between Elton and Gladys Knight. There's a very rhythmic compliment. There's a good melody. But my only comment about this was, why isn't Stevie Wonder actually singing on it as well? Couldn't we just have Elton and Stevie doing this? Not quite sure we actually need Gladys Knight, which maybe she could have done something separate from this. Anyway, we long in a way for Stevie Wonder's vocal on this one, but we only get it in the background. There's a positive message in this for everyone. Let's stop thinking about the past, so love can go on and on. Pretty nice in a way, pretty pleasant. I'm going to rate this one as a good track and give it 6 marks. Now, RuPaul is an American drag queen and partners with Elton on track number 10, a cover version of Don't Go Breaking My Heart. It's got a dramatic opening, it's got a relentless house beat. It all feels a little bit cliched now, this. Elton and RuPaul are exchanging lines in the way Elton did with Kiki D on the original. It's a radical reinterpretation of this iconic 70s song, but the question remains, why? And for me, this is a one listen track that's probably become a bit of a skip over on the next run through of the album. It doesn't add anything to the original, and in a way it shows how effective the duet with Dua Lipa was on the lockdown sessions, which was in a way much more creative and taking Elton's music to a different level. So this one, rather a bad day at the office, I'm afraid. I'm going to say I'm disappointed with this. 2 marks. Track number 11 is Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, an Ashford and Simpson song made famous by the brilliant Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell in 1968. Elton here partners with Marcella Detroit, an American singer-songwriter who co-wrote Long Lay Down Sally with Eric Clapton. This is a fine song, but my question again is, what does this actually add to the original? There's lots of echo on the vocal and synthetic backing, and it comes out as rather a mushy cookpot of overproduced 90s froth. And I would recommend that you listen to the original song here by Marvin Gaye. It wasn't a great song choice, I don't think. Marcella Detroit's got a fine, strong voice and range, and it would have been interesting to hear a duet of her with Elton on something more original. So for me, this one is below average, 3 marks. Track number 12 sees Elton duetting with Paul Young, the 1980s English singer famous for tracks such as Every Time You Go Away. This is a 1966 song that was covered by Sam and Dave, Marvin Gaye, Donny Osmond. It's a little bit hard to hear the vocals on this, a bit hard to hear Paul Young singing. It's an enjoyable song, and the arrangement here is more authentic to the original, which we should be grateful for. It's just not that exciting really, and again it would have been nice to see an original song on this one. So average for me, 4 marks. Track number 13 is Love Letters, in which Elton joins forces with Bonnie Raitt, the American blues singer. This is a 1945 song by Young and Hayman, which has been covered by people like Elvis Presley, of course, and Alison Moyet. Elton's on the piano, Bonnie is on slide guitar. Billy Preston adds some very impressive organ to this, which perhaps is the most enjoyable part of the track. There's some strings on here, but I'm afraid they seem to be programmed according to the liner notes. What does this add to the original? Nothing at all, I'm afraid. It's a bit of a snooze fest, a bit soporific. It passes the time, and there's some nice Elton ad-libbing, but apart from that, nothing of note. Sorry, below average from me, 3 marks. Well, we're going back to 1942 for track 14, which is Born to Lose, a cover with the legendary Leonard Cohen. This was a hit originally for Ray Charles. We've got this incredibly low vocal from Leonard Cohen at the start. Lucky to be able to get that low. Elton's not on the piano for this one, but there are some real strings going on. When Elton comes in, there's a key change, which is interesting. There's a little bit of a kind of sort of Elton sings the American songbook feel about this one, and maybe that would have been an idea for an interesting album, because of course Elton did record the song But Not For Me, written by the Gershwin brothers on the Larry Adler tribute album. Anyway, this is a perfectly acceptable cover, but you know, what could they have done together? What other song could they have done together? Maybe an Elton song they could have done together. You might have some suggestions on that. Average from me, 4 marks. Track number 15 captures a wonderful and memorable musical moment in time. It's Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, recorded with George Michael. Of course, this is a 1974 song by Elton and Bernie. George Michael had been touring with it on his 1991 tour, and for the very final night, Elton appeared as a special guest star, steps onto the stage and launches into the second verse. There's some quality interplay between both of them on this. Their voices fit very well together. George Michael, of course, fantastic star, wonderful voice, and much missed. So it's delightful to have this moment in time captured, and it went to #1 in both the UK and the US, doing even better than the original of Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. We had that moment, of course, where George Michael sings the verse, then he introduces Elton. There's a huge sort of eruption from the crowd, as you'd expect. George Michael had sung this before on his tour, and they had worked together at Live Aid in 1985. So it wasn't the first time they sang together, but it was certainly a wonderful moment, this, and a lovely version of the song. Not quite as good as the original, of course, but I'm going to rate this as good, give it 6 marks. Now, track number 16 is in a way the most interesting one on the album, even though it's not a duet. It's called Duets for One. It's written by Elton and Chris Difford, English singer, songwriter, founder member of Squeeze, who's also written for Jules Holland, Elvis Costello. So you could say, in a way, it's a duet, but Elton does the vocal, getting straight into it at the start. It's got a driving drum beat, a decent verse melody. It's quite a long song in the way it's structured. The verse is quite long, takes a long time to get into the refrain. However, it sounds good. Elton sounds strong and confident, very strong vocal on this. It's all about finding love. I feel like life has just begun. No more singing duets for one. It's uplifting, and it's a pleasant listen. I enjoyed it. It builds to quite a strong ending. I rate this as fairly good, 5 marks. So for those second 8 songs, they weren't quite as strong as the first 8. The first 8 got 42 marks from me. The second 8 got 33 marks. It gives us 75 marks for 16 tracks of music, an average of 4.69 marks per song. So looking at how those songs fit in, we don't really have anything at all above a 6. So it takes quite a long time until we get down to anything from this album. So not even 7s on there. The highest ones I've rated were 6s, and several of them got 6s. But I've got nearly 450 songs ranked now, and we do get something from this album. We get the duet Don't Go Breaking My Heart with RuPaul, which I've rated 2 marks out of 10 there. So how does this album fit in with all of Elton's other ones? Well, I didn't really expect it to be that near the top. So here it comes in, duets there, at number 31 out of the 34 albums I've reviewed so far. So what do you think? It was a worthwhile experiment, and I'm glad I've got those tracks in my collection. It's not an album I go back to an awful lot. I just think it lacks depth somewhere, and I suppose that's because of the lack of original Elton songs. I think if of these 16, maybe 12 of them were original Elton songs, I think this would be a really interesting album to listen to with the same artists. But just too much. Too many cover versions in there, I would say, to make this a really good quality listen. What do you think about this album? How do you rate it? Tell me your favourite tracks. Tell me the ones you don't think worked so well. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. More Elton videos to come. Don't forget, we're still standing.